This is Red, my unbacked 4-year-old who was bred out of our amazing Ramiro B. Mare Diamond. Red has exceptional breeding for eventing, with his dad being 5-star event stallion Le Points de Bois. He has spent his first 4 years of life out in the field, playing with his peers, which means he is totally unspoilt and now ready to start working life. We are on a journey taking Red right from the start to hopefully his first event. Hello everybody and welcome back to Red's training series, which I think we've settled on the very clever name of Red from the Start, which I didn't come up with. I was not clever enough to come up with that. But before we get into this video, I'm just going to address the elephant in the room. You may not have noticed. If you haven't noticed, then great news. But I certainly can tell. I haven't got a muddy face. My face is clean. I happen to have fairly decent bruising going on, and here, and a poorly foot. This is due to an accident that was in 10 days ago. I was competing Maggie. She was going at her first event back. She was going amazing and in the lead. And then we had quite a bad accident, 3 from home on the cross country, actually on the flat and on a turn. That's all I'm gonna say for now. Maggie is fine. I am pretty much fine now. It wasn't her fault. And yeah, if you want to know more about it, I've done a couple of posts on my Instagram, so go take a look there. But anyway, yeah, this is why my face looks like this. Into the video though, what we're actually here for. This video, I'm going to show you how Red got on wearing a roller and girth for the first time and wearing a bridle for the first time. I've chunked it up because I have so much footage, so I didn't really intro it at the time because I didn't realise how long everything was going to be, which is why I'm here now from the future, talking to you about it with my bruises that goes all the way through there, and yeah, just introing it. So let's get into the video. Right then, so if you haven't seen my last video, I'll link it up top now so that you can have a bit of a nosy, but this is the stage that Red is at that you've seen too. So he's learnt about lunging, he's done some join up, and you can see he's really starting to relax into his work and become quite happy with it. So he knows what walk on is and what trot on is, and he's getting to grips with just going round on a circle. Now you'll notice in the corner of the screen, we've got a saddle pad, a roller, and an extra lunge line. The extra lunge line was just there to be ready if he, by some miraculous case, he was just like, oh, whatever about the roller, and I could just carry on and start long lining him. So I'd sort of prepared for all eventualities. Normally I would go to introducing a roller in a bit more of a confined space, although to be fair, if I hadn't moved, my only arena would have been the outdoor arena. Obviously I've got the indoor arena here, but what had happened on this day is the irrigation had been switched on, which it needed, but it did look like someone had taken the roof off of the indoor and had a severe downpour, so it was all far too waterlogged to be working a horse in there at the time, and it needed harrowing or grading, so it just wasn't in a suitable state to be working a horse. So that's why we were doing this in the outdoor arena. In the previous video, you'll have also seen that Red had also had his saddle pad on for the first time, but I was still being, gentle and introducing it to him, and because we were at a different place, it was a new day, it was quite breezy, and we're just doing the same as I've been doing with everything, to be fair. It's pressure and release. You put it on, if he's good, I take it off, and then I put it on again, and just tell him he's a good boy. And you can really see by his posture and how relaxed he is that, the saddle pad is cool, thanks. And he says, oh gosh, as I'm throwing it over, what I try to do is start off quite gently, don't frighten them, but once they know that everything's okay, we then build up fairly quickly to being quite workmanlike about things. I don't want to have to tiptoe around him for all of his life. And it doesn't matter how many repetitions it takes. I'd just rather do the work in the first place, just to say, come on then, here you go, here's your roller, here's your saddle pad, here's your saddle, here's your bridle. It's not a drama, it's not a fuss. So it doesn't matter where it is, it can come off of your bottom and I can touch you anywhere, and that's how we just do it. And it may seem boring, but I just repeat things so many times until they're just like, oh, this is old news. If I remember rightly, in America, is it called flapping? Where you're basically de-spooking your horses. I might have completely made that term up, but basically there is sort of a practice where people do just get horses used to plastic bags and all sorts. And I think it's probably, I haven't actually looked into it fully, but I get the impression it's similar to what the Tristan Tucker method is actually giving horses the ability to deal with things and actually learn about things rather than just shocking them and dealing with the aftermath. Don't quote me on it because I could be completely wrong. Like I say, I've not looked at the Tristan Tucker method, but from some of the videos where they're like dealing with tarpaulin and stuff, that's the impression I get. But yeah, you can see a few moves. I just pop the roller on and the saddle pad, on, and just hold it there until he stops, and then we carry on. And he's got a great long lunge line, so if he decides to go disappearing off, I've still got hold of him, but I'm not making him not move. He's standing still of his own accord, and he's looking fairly chilled about the situation now. So I'll just keep on repeating, keep on checking he's happy, because I want this to be really cemented and happy before I introduce the roller and the girth, because that's going to be another new sensation. He's not had a huge amount touching him. He's probably had his buddies that have touched him in the field, his mum Diamond, his breeder. They've all handled him, but having stuff strapped to him is a very different scenario completely. So once we've done that work, we go off for a little bit of a walk, and then I've decided that it's going to be time, if he concentrates, to introduce the roller. So I think I came and fetched the bits and bobs that I needed. You notice that I tend to do stuff a lot by myself. It just is how it is. Obviously mum's videoing, so I've got a helper when I need one, but actually realistically Red needs to cope with me just handling him on my own. And I also think a lot of the time when you're doing stuff in the middle of the arena, it's safer to just have one person to be dodging. So he's having a good look at everything, having a good sort of inspection. I've got 2 girths there because I didn't know which one was going to fit best. And then I'm going to go take him back off to the middle so that if any explosions happen, we're in a safe space, basically, because this is usually probably one of the most reactive things I expect horses to be. So there I'm rattling the girth because it makes a noise, and he said, oh my word, what is this all about? And I just keep rattling it and just let him get used to it, and then I'll want the girth to touch him, and he was like, oh, that is not touching me. And then he realised actually it's not so scary. So then we're just doing exactly the same, and it isn't exciting, it isn't glamorous, it is just giving him chance to realise that something's not going to hurt him. We do it from both sides, as we've discussed previously. The link from the horse's left brain to their right brain is not a very good or quick link. So stuff from one eye can actually seem completely new from the other eye, depending on how well their brains seem to link up, and different horses react differently to these things. So I'm doing it on both sides, and you can see I'm rubbing it onto his belly, and he took to that really well. So that's now the time where I'm going to go from letting him see the girth to now going back to the saddle pad. Now this is normal. Even though it's had a roller attached to it, he's used to the saddle pad going on him. So I'm not going to faff about too much with it because it's only got an extra piece of kit on it. And there is that fine line of faffing about and also getting on with it. So I know that he's happy with the saddle pad. This is the only thing that gets me about lunge lines. It's hard work to be doing everything and holding on to the bulk of your lunge line all at the same time. But we soldier on. Red's there trying to groom me now because he thinks that something interesting's going on, and he's possibly a bit bored about standing still, which is where, you know, you get to the stage where you do just need to crack on as well. He's obviously feeling very confident, so I'm getting the buckles done up on this side, and then I will be doing them up on the other side, and you can see he's got his eyes on what the horses are doing in the background. And now this is going to be an interesting sensation for him, because he's going to have something touching his belly. But as you can see, I've been grooming him. I've been putting my hands on his belly. He's had the girth touch his belly, and he's fairly okay about this. He's being a lot more chilled than I'd expected him to be, so I'm just calmly getting on with it. Notice I've got my hat on and my gloves on. And he says, well, now I'm not so sure. So now I just want to get that second buckle done up if I can, just to make sure everything is secure in case anything happens. And I haven't put it on overly tight. It's just loose there at that stage. I'm not asking him to move yet, because that's usually the point where you get a bit of a rodeo. I'm just having a look at tightening his girth up, and I didn't get a chance because Red went, there's something touching me, oh my God. So obviously at that stage, Mum decided she best be all hands on deck rather than videoing. So she stopped videoing at that point. Quite an explosive reaction, but we got him to settle down and we asked him to stand still. I just checked him over, made sure that everything was in place and where it needed to be. Obviously, he didn't need telling off or anything. He'd not been naughty. He just reacted to having a corset on, effectively, having a belt on for the first time. And of course, it feels strange. And of course, his natural reaction is to have a bit of a rodeo. And he was a very good boy, and you can see he settled down very quickly once we'd sort of just said, no, you need to stand still, buddy, you're okay. And then now I'm just going on to moving him off again, and he's still quite unsettled. Mum's just getting out of the way here, but camera will settle down. And you can see he's a bit nervous about the whole situation, but we're just going to let him work through it. Let him express what he needs to express, let him move, and you can see his ears are on it. He's finding it so strange, bless him, and it's all a bit of a lot to deal with. And then I'm just saying, right, okay, come here. I probably did more lunging. I basically, all I did, a bit like everything else I do, we kept doing it until it wasn't quite so scary. So we had a stop, we had a stroke, we reassured him that everything's okay. You know, we want everything to be as gentle as possible and as stress-free as possible. And now he's managing to walk fairly okay, trotting. You can still see he's quite tense. So I just wanted to just give him the chance to stay on the lunge and figure it out, and just take as long as he needed to figure out what this was while he was trotting, how it felt with his body, in as safe a setting as I could manage to do, with comfortable equipment. It's why I start with a roller. Some people go straight in with a saddle, and I'm never quite sure with that because the saddle can slip, so much can happen. And yeah, rollers can slip, but that one tends to just mould to their body. And I always think a saddle pad's quite good because they're getting used to more stuff touching, and then it just hopefully means that when you come to actually introducing a saddle, you've already dealt with a lot of this situation. So you can just see he's starting to blow and get his head down a little bit more, have his ears pricked, and he's just chilling out about the situation a bit more. And I just kept going with transitions, telling him he's clever, what a good boy he is. And he might just be a little bit jumpy here and there because it's still quite new, but he's a lot more relaxed than when he started off. I must say, though, as explosive as that reaction was, one, it didn't last for very long, and two, it's showing some promise for jumping, guys. It's definitely showing some promise for jumping. So then we do the same on the other rein. So as I say, you do everything on both reins because it might seem different one way to another. And he's just getting on with it. He's transferred his left side to his right side fairly well. and we're just doing some trot, walk, walk, trots. And I'm just like, come on then, bud, keep going forwards. I'm not particularly asking him to canter at this stage on the lunge because he hasn't got the muscles and he hasn't got the balance. So walk and trot's plenty. If he wants to bob into canter, that's fine. But he's a big old boy and he's got a lot of length of leg to coordinate. He's now just getting a little bit keen about having a wider circle on the lunge. And I think he ended up facing the jump just then. But he's sensible. He's not trying to jump that yet. And you can see he's actually just a little bit reluctant to go forwards here, where he's just thinking, no, actually, I'm comfortable in walk, but I'm not comfortable in trot. And I'm saying, that's fine. I know it's different this way. So just trot on and you can have a spook. That's okay. We can go around everything. But just trot forwards. That's all you need to figure out. And he's just like, I cannot turn to the right. I don't get it. I can do a circle on the left, but I definitely can't do a circle on the right today. Not with this belt on and saddle pad on. And I'm just saying, come on, let's just figure it out, but don't go around the other side of the jump because then I really will be in trouble. And he is just taking his time and figuring it out, and we just go consistently with everything. And I'm trying to catch him before he gets to do the other side of the jump. We've asking him to go forwards, and he's starting to settle down now. I don't know. Hopefully this isn't dull. Hopefully you can see the progression. And I just kept going until he was relaxed. I'm trying to do a balance of showing you guys everything, but also not showing you the same thing over and over again until it's boring. Now what I've done, we're chilled out. I've let him off. Red's done loads of drawing up in between starting his work. I've done it lots of times. So he knows the drill about following me around and trusting me. So he then does this and he's just following me. So we've gone from Rodeo City to actually just relaxed and following me along. I've been desperately trying to get him to trot along with me when I run, and he doesn't. I'm going to have to teach him how to trot up in hand because I thought he might play with me and run with me, but he doesn't, so I give up. And you can just see wherever I'm going, he's with me, he's chilled, he's relaxed in his neck, he's relaxed in his body, and life's good.
I see it in your eyes. Yeah, I can read the signs. You need to get away. It's time we make a change. Oh, you know you'll always have me. Baby, I will always stay with you. So put your trust in me. We'll work it out, you'll see. If we get in a car and drive someplace far, yeah, we could go for a ride. The two of us, we don't have to stop. Baby, let's go for a ride. You and I, let us run away. We can go where we want. I'll have your back if you'll have mine. You and I wanna leave everything behind.
Okay, so after that, I then needed to get the roller off. And you'll see on this clip, he was a bit unsure about it actually coming off. Mum didn't video what I did after, but basically I just put it on and off, on and off, on and off, did the girth up, undid the girth and the lights, and just kept putting it on and off until he was chilled out about the situation. But we didn't get this on video, so you'll just have to take my word for it. So this is a new day. It must have been warm because I've got my very pale legs out in it. Well, you can see how much better the indoor is for being irrigated and then graded. So I decided I was going to do another round of join up with Red, just good for him. I think he's looking so much more well now, isn't he? And so much smarter. He already knows the drill. He's got his ear on me. This really won't take very long.
If you wanted to, promise you we will be alright. If it's you and I want you to myself. good times ahead. So let me put a smile upon your face. Maybe make your worries go away. So put your trust in me. We'll work it out, you'll see. If we get in a car and drive someplace far, yeah, we could go for a ride. You and I, let us run away. We can go where we want. I'll have your back if you'll have mine. You and I wanna leave everything behind. If you wanted to, promise you we will be alright. If it's you and I. You and I, let us run away. We can go where we want. I'll have your back if you'll have mine. You and I.
So day 2 with the roller on, and you can just see how much more chilled about the situation he is. That is the thing that is so important with this guy. He learns so quickly. So I always feel it's important to try my absolute best to get things right, because if you get it right the first time, that's that. He's learned it. So you can see he's very relaxed. The indoor was ready to be used by the following day, so I was able to just ask him to work in it, and I just set him off loose. There's no point having the constraints of being attached to a lunge line, and he's listening to me and is relaxed about the fact he's got a saddle pad on, and happy days really. So I basically just did this again for a few more days with being loose and lunging and leading him and just letting him get used to it. But to be fair, once he'd done it the first day, he was quite chilled. But I'd much rather do something a few too many times than not enough.
Hey, where have you been? I've been looking for you now and then. Someone just like you, who can make me feel the way you do. 'Cause if I'm the ocean, you're the rain. We only need each other, baby, you know we're the same.
On the back?
Let's run away.
So we're going to put Red's bit in for the first time today. So I've just gone and dismantled Titan's old jump bridle. As you notice, I've whipped the reins off and the noseband off. That's because I'm going to leave his Julie halter on underneath, which means this has been my method of communication with him. So you've got the head collar hook down here, which is because I've been teaching him to tie up in here, so I tie up to the head collar ring. And then I've got these two points of control, which are basically just pressure release. So if I ask him to back up, I put the pressure on there. I'm not going to ask him. And then once he backs up, it automatically releases on his nose, which is a very good lesson for him to be learning in life, so that when it comes to being tied up, hopefully when he pulls that back, he gets the pressure and he knows how to release it. By going in the direction the pressure's pushing. So now we're going to, we've graduated, ready says I'm not sure if I'm ready for this. And we're going to put the bridle on. Left the brow band on, so we're not going to slide it back too far. But other than that, we literally just want to slip head so we can have the bit in. This bit is Flint's baby bit, is it, Mum?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this has been through a lot of babies, starting off with Flinty when he was a baby, so God, over 15 years ago now. And it's just very basic and very soft and ergonomic for his mouth, and it's not going to be anything offensive, we'd like to hope. So now what I need to do is I need to check that it's relatively, relatively the right size for his head, which yes, it looks like that. If anything, I almost want it to be slightly low, so it's not like strangling him once it goes on. And then I think we best get some little treaties. See what he says. He likes to put everything in his mouth at the moment. So, boy, what is that? Ooh, he's just having a bit of a sniff. Good boy. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. Good boy. Oh, we'll just let him have a moment for that. Good boy. I don't want to let it start climbing on his teeth or anything. I've been practicing putting his head collar on over his ears, so this wasn't too much of a trauma first time around. There we go. Because it's nice and loose, I can able to get it on without too much of the drama. A little bit low in his mouth, so I just need to adjust it now. You're a clever boy, ready? Because that is very strange. Very, very strange. You're a good boy. And what I'll do for today is he can just get used to it. But tomorrow he'll have quite a few sessions of it going on and off. But for today it just doesn't need to be strange. Let's just try it up. Come on, hold both sides. I really don't want it to be anything intrusive, but it also doesn't need to be flashing on his little toothy bags. So not the hugest toothy bags at all. There we go. That's better. Good boy. Great back shot. Just give him a moment to get used to it. Have a ball. There you go. Ooh. That is so strange. And now what we're going to do is we're not going to do any work with the bit. I'm not going to be attaching anything to the bit. He's just going to get used to having it in his mouth while he works. And that's why we have the Dually halter on, so I can get my rings out, which is used to being worked on. And we can do that all bitless until he finds the bit a little bit more normal. You're a good boy. Well done. Taken to that really well. So the natural step from putting his bridle on was then to go and let him move in it. So we went back to being loose in the indoor, and it's getting a bit predictable now, but I think that's good. It's good that my training's getting predictable, and you can see him mouthing on the bit and having a little bit of a feel about and figuring out what he can still do, what he can't do while he's got this strange thing in his mouth. And I'm just saying, come on, just move while you figure it out. Just process everything. And doesn't he move nicely? This indoor's been a godsend for everything I've been doing as well. It's a bit small, which means that he doesn't get a chance to get terrible amounts of speed up, and it's just a really safe space where he can concentrate on me and I can work with him without worrying about the outside world. And then once he's learnt stuff, he can then go back outdoors, and I'm just giving him time to have a bit of work and stop. And then we go on to lunging, and he's a bit keen on the lunge this day, and we just keep progressing up. And we've obviously put the roller on, so the roller starts becoming the natural clothing that he wears when he's getting ready to be ridden. And he's quite busy in his mouth, but I would be too if somebody just put something random in my mouth. But as I explained in the other video, I'm just using the Dually halter, so everything's actually still the same. He's just got a bit in his mouth, but there's no pressure on the bit. He just gets a chance to get used to it and work with it.
You, now and always. You and me. We don't need no one else than each other. You and me. We could run away. You and me together, baby, we don't gotta stay. Let's lose our minds. We could go crazy. Say what you feel. I don't even know if this is real. How can you like me? You're as close to perfect as anyone can be. You and me, we don't need no one else than each other. You and me.
Okay, so I hope that was useful and interesting for you guys to see his reaction. Quite explosive initially to the roller, but afterwards he was amazing. Like, he learns so quickly. That's the thing that I've really noticed about him. So now at this stage, Reddy can wear a girth and he can wear a bridle, which sets him up perfectly for starting to longline. He also knows sort of walk, trot, stop on my voice aids and the likes, so he's starting to get a lot more educated. He trusts me so much more. He's such a loving boy, and yeah, you can see how well he took to everything. So I'm gonna cut the video off there. That's the introduction to those pieces of tack, and next time I will show you all about Red learning to go on the long lines, because that was also quite an interesting time for him. He learnt a lot. So anyway, like I say, I hope that was useful and interesting, and make sure to tune in next time to see how he gets on with the long lines. See you next time. Bye.
It could be glorious.